Invictus, my kings, and today I'd like to talk about something very personal. I've noticed that there is quite a lot of romanticizing of schizophrenia going around the more youthful sides of the internet, and it's kind of sort of disturbing, to be honest. As someone who is very closely acquainted with the illness, I can safely assure you that there's nothing romantic about it. And I'd like to illustrate that by talking about my story. So, I first started developing schizophrenia around 2020. I was part of a PhD program. Very recently started the PhD program at that time, only 3-4 months in, and I really wasn't handling the situation or the stress of it. I wasn't really great at handling the whole pressure. And as well as that, I was also very, very disappointed by the essentially the crumbling of all my plans that I have set in motion during the previous years. During college, I was supposed to be essentially secure financially for quite a while after finishing college, but because of Corona, that all failed. And 2021 was when I started the PhD program, and it very quickly drifted into nothingness, and I was left a hollow shell of my former self. Now, how it started is very interesting because, as I said, it started because of pressure, disappointment, and because of genetic predisposition, but I'll get into that later. But yes, schizophrenia is heritable, very much so. There's like a 10 times increase of chance if one of your close relatives has it, that you will have it, and my mom has it. So, and as well as my aunt and various other family members has schizophrenia, so there was a very high likelihood that I was going to develop it. And initially, after it started developing, initially, it manifested itself as extreme depression, I would say, and wishes of self deletion, if you know what I mean. And this resulted in me being extremely confused and lost for quite a while because I wasn't really entirely sure what's going on with me. Am I depressed? Am I self deletional? Am I just not feeling good? Am I under pressure? Why am I feeling this way? And it resulted in quite heavy alcoholism for quite a while, and my weight would just plummet down. I would be extremely thin, then I would get extremely fat, and it just wasn't really a good, healthy look. Now, I wasn't working at the time, so the financial situation became worse and worse and worse, and I got into some debt, and it ultimately resulted in me being hospitalized, and everything is fine now. On meds, and everything is basically okay. But how it manifested itself was very interesting because as I said, depressions and self-deletional thoughts, but also obviously hallucinations. Now, I mostly had audio hallucinations. I mostly heard stuff that wasn't quite there, and it was very scary. It was some of the scariest stuff that I've ever heard. It was stuff about death, stuff about just bad things, how terrible I am, how everything's just getting worse and worse, which was objectively true at the time. So I had this almost inclination to listen to him because I felt as though these thoughts were somehow a manifestation of something spiritual or something that was above. And I would also, kind of interestingly, whenever I would read a book, and then afterwards, when I was laying in bed, I would hear passages from the book that I've just read, and it was scary. It was like these characters are coming to life inside my head, and I'm hearing them. I didn't know they were coming from inside my head, but I was hearing these characters that I just read about, and it was it was like mind-boggling. Like, what the hell is going on? Extremely scary stuff. Really don't appreciate the romanticization. And also, the visual hallucinations. Now, I didn't get these often. I didn't get these very often, but they were some of the like weirdest stuff. Like I would hallucinate about spiders and ants and various other bugs and creepy crawlies just invading my room. Like all of a sudden there would be like dozens of them around me, and they would be crawling everywhere. They would be going on the walls, they would be coming from the walls, and they would attack me, and I would feel like the stings that they were giving me. I would feel the stings, and I would try to fight them off. I wasted like 3 bottles of anti-bug spray just spraying around frantically because, well, I thought that there were bugs and they were out to get me. And afterwards, it's, you know, the one of the interesting things about schizophrenia is that you also get like delusional thoughts. And you get these very vivid, at least that's what I had, very, very, very vivid daydreams about life that could have been, if only this happened, if only that happened. I would like visualize it constantly and extremely, to the point where now, years later, it's almost like I have these false memories about events that never happened, didn't happen, some completely different universe, completely different people that I've met throughout my life, or people that I've met throughout my life, but my relationship with them is different, and it's like completely different false memories implemented in my head just because I had these very vivid daydreams and very vivid imagination, and I have a very vivid imagination. I would like focus solely on that, and there's a term for it. Obviously, it's like that's I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but it's when you daydream too much and it becomes dangerous. But schizophrenia, it became real. That's what I'm saying. It became real. It got to the point where I just was living this dual existence. And to this day, I sometimes have to sort of double check myself, like, this didn't actually happen. That's a false memory. That didn't happen. That was a delusion. And so, yeah, but everything is fine now. I went to the psych ward on April 2025, so a little bit less than a year ago, and stayed there for 15 days. They got me on meds. They were very, very nice about it, very understanding, and in the end, they were first sort of debating, or they were first sort of thinking that I had some sort of personality disorder, depressive personality disorder, or something like that, because of the self-delusional thoughts. But in the end, after I talked about them, talked about the hallucinations and all that, they concluded it was definitely schizophrenia. And also because of the genetic link that I have to my mother, who is also schizophrenic. And here I would like to talk about living with a schizophrenic, because there's a little bit less detail I'd like to go into, but it's nonetheless very important, because one of the big things that you very quickly learn about yourself when you live with a schizophrenic is just how much you can doubt someone. Especially when it comes to serious issues or even mundane issues, it doesn't really matter, but I just doubted everything. Like, is this really the case? Are you really telling me the truth now? Did you really pay the bill, or was that something you imagined? Did you really talk with that person, or was that something you imagined? This constant doubt of this other person, and even self-doubt when it comes to schizophrenia. A lot of self-doubt, like, is this actually real? Is this actually happening? Am I hearing things? I have to sometimes double check if other people are having a reaction to a noise, because I don't know, is this just something my mind is making up, or is this actually real? So yeah, it manifests itself in very, very bad ways, and the doubt that I felt a lot of times towards a schizophrenic who I was living with was immense. I would doubt everything. Everything. I didn't believe a single thing sometimes. And it wasn't healthy. It very much wasn't healthy. And I've tried to learn to understand and to come to terms with the fact that she's taking her meds. If I'm taking my meds, everything's fine. We're doing fine. But the thoughts still linger. So I would like to just say to those people that romanticize schizophrenia to maybe check your local psych ward. Talk to the people there. Try to talk some sense into them. See if it works. See how they're faring. See how it all just ends up being a big old mess, and then think about it for a while. But anyway, Kings, that's it for today. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Please share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.